Hi, Rosario. Good evening. I hope you had a great weekend. I'm sorry. I know you were waiting for the present. Well, for the class, but like with an interactive class, but it's not going to be possible because then I have another course, right? And this girl chose the time before, right? So yes, I'm so sorry, but don't forget that this is only a short review. The class is not going to last that much because it's a short one, right? So I would like to see this in classes. This is going to be like a short review, and we're going to continue with the class. Okay? I mean, I'm going to record the class, and I'm not feeling that well. I have a terrible headache. So yes. Okay, give me a second. Okay, so I'm so sorry for the interruption. Okay, so as I was explaining you, we're going to see a little bit of it, but we're going to answer the questions then, okay, at the end of the class. Oh, I mean, when we have the next class, okay? So yes, that will be it. So if you have any question, just let me know, okay? It's not that difficult. This lesson is very short. It only has 3 slides. So let's start.
Hi, it's me again, Emily. Here's a question for you. Why do you need a grammar coach? You need a grammar coach to help you learn English. And today, I'm here to tell you about infinitives of purpose. Let's begin.
Okay, so we have to help you learn English, to tell you about infinitive of purpose. Well, when we have an infinitive, we know that, oh, what a terrible sound. My goodness. Okay, we know that it has, or it has a structure of 2 plus the verb in its base form. Don't forget never about that, okay? That's something that is never going to change. Then we have to see that when we're going to use infinitive, it means a purpose of something. To eat, I'm going to eat because I want to stay healthy, for example. So let's learn more about this.
We use infinitives of purpose to give the reason for something. They answer the question, why?
Why is Nick Crawford here?
He's here to talk with Talia. In the example, the infinitive, to plus the base form of the verb, explains why Nick is here.
Why is Nick Crawford here? He's here to talk with Talia. Okay, so when we want to give reasons of something, we can use because, okay? But when we want to say it more directly, we just say it. He's here to talk with Talia. What is the purpose? To talk. The structure of the infinitive is to, okay? This is the infinitive, okay? To talk, and the verb in its form, base form. What a terrible thing. Okay, yes, it is better. So don't forget that we always are going to use this structure. Okay, when you want to, when we want to say a reason of something. Why did you call me yesterday? I call you because I wanted to, okay, talk with you because I wanted to ask you something. Because I wanted to hear your voice. Okay, something interesting happened. We have some slangs. Okay, I don't know if you heard about that, but it is like, for example, got to, but it is gotta, right? Gotta. So I gotta call you. I gotta call you. I gotta call you. Then what else we have? Wanna. It is terrible. It is terrible. We don't have to use it, but there are people using it, but it is okay. It is okay. So as I always use this one, but as I'm a teacher, I don't have to. Okay, I shouldn't do it. Okay, what else? Okay, so let's start. I receive a message. What? Okay. I receive a message from one of my students. So okay, let's continue. So don't forget that this is the short one, this line. Okay, what else do we have? Good. I wanna talk to you. I want to talk to you, for example. Okay. So if you prefer to use the second one, the first one in this case, it's okay. There is no problem. But it is very, very informal. But as it is informal, it is also well used. It is very, very normal to use that. Yes, is when we have some lines in Spanish. The same way happens in English, right? So that will be everything about point number one. Let's continue with the next.
In conversation, you can answer why questions with the infinitive of purpose. You can give long or short answers. Why did you go to the Gower building?
I went there to see Jackie Baker.
Or
To see Jackie Baker.
Okay, so in this case, we have a purpose again. So we can give long or short answers. Podemos dar respuestas cortas o respuestas largas. There is no problem. Why did you go to lower building? That's a purpose. Go to the lower building. I went there to see. That's the purpose. Okay, to see Jackie Baker. To see. The question here is, oh, this is a long answer and this is a short answer. Okay, so as you can see, you have both ways to answer. There is no problem if you answer with a short one and a long. So yes, let's continue.
we sometimes use the longer form in order to, plus the base form of the verb to give reason. This form is more formal. The Soccer Federation is investigating Nick Crawford in order to determine if he accepted a bribe.
Okay, this is my favorite one. This is my favorite one. In order to. Oh, we use this as a connector though. In essays, we have the option to use in order to. It is a connector of to give reasons. Just instead of saying to, because it is basic. It is very basic. In order to it is more formal. It is more beauty, and I really love that one. So the Soccer Federation is investigating Nick Crawford to determine. Okay, that could be the informal one, the normal, the basic one. But if I want to sound more formal, I'm going to say in order to determine. The only thing that I'm doing is adding in order. I'm continuing with to determine, to plus the verb determine. in order to determine if he accepted a bribe. And that's all, as you can see. The negative is in order not to. This is beautiful. Look at this.
To talk about a negative purpose, use in order not to, plus the base form of the verb.
Jackie took Nick out to lunch in order not to reveal that she didn't have an office.
Okay, so we have the negative. Where are we going to add the negative? Between, in order, and the infinitive. It goes right there. Okay, it goes in the middle. What is the meaning of it? The negative. Okay, it's the contrary of something. Jackie took Nick out to lunch in order not to reveal. Okay, para no revelar. Para no. Para revelar, para no revelar. Do you remember the other lesson we seen the other day? Well, it is similar to that. So, of course, it is going to change the meaning. Now we're going to watch a video. So give me a second, please. Well, that could be until this part, right? I mean the explanation, because we're going to see it in classes. Vamos a ver esto en clases nuevamente. Es como, solo estoy dejando la clase grabada porque son órdenes, ¿ok? Pero en realidad es de que no me gusta dejar las clases grabadas porque a veces los estudiantes o no miran o no entienden muy bien, entonces, sí. So we're going to solve the questions in classes. And we're going to watch a video.
Hi.
This is a short video. Okay.
I'm Dan from BBC Learning English, and today I'm going to talk to you about infinitives of purpose. English has something called the infinitive of purpose. We use it to explain why we do something. To explain why we do something is an infinitive of purpose. Why do we use it? Another example is, I went home to eat. We make our sentence, I went home, and then attach a full infinitive verb, to eat. This doesn't work with noun. For example, I went home to food. To use a noun, we use for. I went home for food.
Oh,
Hi, I'm
let's see.
Dan from BBC Learning English, and today I'm going to talk to you about infinitives of purpose. English has something called the infinitive of purpose. We use it to explain why we do something.
Okay. We use it to explain why we do something. This is very important. It is a purpose, okay? Because
Explain why we do something is an infinitive of purpose. Why do we use it?
to explain, it needs to answer to that question. For what? To eat. For what? You have to see that answer. If that part answers your question of for what.
Another example is, I went home to eat.
Okay, I went home. For what? To eat.
We make our sentence, I went home, and then attach a full infinitive verb, to eat. This doesn't work with noun. For example, I went home to food.
Okay, in this case, this is a noun. Okay, this is a noun. So it is incorrect the use of to. Why? Because when we have a noun, okay, we prefer to use for. Okay, we prefer to use for. So let's see.
To use a noun, we use for. I went home for food. Finally, we can also use for to talk about doing something to help someone. For example, I made this video for you to learn.
Okay, that's interesting. How can I delete this part? I'm not sure.
You're welcome. I made this video for you.
Okay, so I don't know how to erase this part. Let's see. Oh, I don't know. So I made this video for you to learn. Okay. So in this case, we're using for because we're doing something to help someone. Okay, so that's the difference. If you have a noun, use for. Oh, for sure, you can also use for places. To Bolivia. I want to travel to Bolivia. Okay, for places to Bolivia, to the government building we saw in the example, to La Paz, to Cochabamba. So when you want to give are nouns, yes, but are nouns for places. So that's the only exception. Okay. La única excepción es cuando hablamos de lugares. Ok, entonces ahí sí se puede utilizar. ¿A dónde vas a viajar? A La Paz. I'm going to travel to La Paz. I'm going to stay there for 2 weeks, for example. Ok, entonces cuando tenemos nombres de lugares sí podemos utilizar. Pero nombres comunes, como comida, que no tiene nada que ver, utilizamos por. I'm going to try to show you one video related to this, but I'm not sure where is it. Where is it? I guess it's this one. No, where is my professor? I really love this professor. Oh my goodness, don't tell me that. Okay, okay. So I guess I was reproducing the video and I forgot to configure the audio. My goodness. Well, okay. We're going to continue with this other video.
Hi guys, Dan from BBC Learning English here. In this masterclass, we'll be taking a look at infinitives of purpose. Are you ready? Here we go. So, in English, we use the infinitive of purpose to explain why we're doing a particular action. For example, you're watching this video to get better at speaking English. Am I right? Of course I'm right. Now, to get better at speaking English is an example of the infinitive of purpose, and it follows the clause and the action which I wish to explain. We can also use for plus somebody to explain that we're doing an action on behalf of someone else. So, for example, I make these videos for you to get better at English. Or he bought the flowers for her to make her happy. Got it? To make things more formal, we can use in order to or so as to. For example, the government has raised taxes in order to fund the NHS, but people have taken to the streets so as to protest against the increase in taxes. What's really nice about these expressions is that they can easily be made negative using not, so as not to, and in order not to. For example, he paid the fine in order not to go to prison. Or, I've worked really hard on my life so as not to be poor. Get it? Okay, guys. So we don't use to plus the infinitive with not. For example, I wouldn't say, I went to bed not to watch TV. That doesn't make sense. I would prefer to use a different verb to express the negativity. For example, I went to bed to avoid watching TV. However, we do use not and the infinitive when we make a contrast with but. So for example, I went to bed not to sleep, but to watch TV. Did you get it? Finally, we can use the infinitive of purpose after a noun, pronoun, or indefinite pronoun to explain what we need it for. For example, I want a house to live in, or what we intend to do with it. So, do you have any more food to cook? Now, in this example, the noun food is the object of the infinitive, which is fine, but we mustn't add an object pronoun afterwards. So don't say, do you have any more food to cook in? That doesn't make sense. Finally, we can use the infinitive to qualify an indefinite pronoun. So for example, I need somewhere to stay. Do you have anything to eat? Did you get it? Great, guys. More information, check out bbclearningenglish.com. I'll see you next time. Take care.
Okay, so that was everything about the video. And okay, so we're going to continue. Where is it?
We use to plus infinitive.
Well, this is for child. This video is for children, so we're going to continue with the learning.
We need to remember some definitions. So we usually what we define as an infinitive is it's a form of the verb. Usually what we define as an infinitive is it's a form of the verb. The form with to at the beginning. So to, the base form, is the infinitive. An important thing we need to remember. This is an infinitive. To walk, to run, to be, to eat. That's okay. That's an infinitive. These here are not infinitives. This is, for example, the base form of walk. To walk is the infinitive. Walks is the base form. Important difference there. Some people say that, no, yeah, this is the infinitive, but the infinitive without to. No, it's the base form. These here are not base forms. These are the simple present for the third person singular. He walks, she runs, it is, but that's not a base form. In the past, that's not a base form. The past participle is not a base form. The present participle is not a base form. This thing doesn't even exist. So an important thing that we need to remember here is the form of the infinitive. The infinitive is the base form of the verb preceded by to. Okay, that's an infinitive. These here are infinitives. If it's a base form, it's just the base form. It's not an infinitive. Okay, differentiate that. That's an important difference. And remember, it has to be the base form of the verb. You can never say to ate, to eat, to eating, nothing. Okay, none of those options are possible. Second, purpose. What is purpose? Well, if we check the thesaurus, if we check the dictionary, we can find that a purpose is all of these things: an objective, an intent, a plan, a target, a goal, an objective that you have. That's a purpose. So essentially, the infinitive of purpose, you can find it by the definition that it's an infinitive that explains a purpose, an objective, plan, a goal. Simple. Let's start checking some examples. I study English. That's what you're doing in this moment, right? I study English. Perfect. But why do you study English? Maybe you have some reasons. Maybe you want to investigate. Maybe you want to read more things. Maybe you want to travel. So I'm going to explain my reasons. Why do you study English? Well, I study English because I want to read papers. That is my objective. This is an action that I do. And my goal is to read more papers. That is my objective. I study English. My objective is to read more papers. So I can combine these two things and I can create a new sentence. What is the action? I study English. And what is the objective of studying English? What is the purpose of studying English? To read more papers, more documents, more investigation articles. That's the idea. So you see, it's very simple. I have an action and I am going to explain the reason that motivated me to do this action. So that's the use of an infinitive of purpose. You explain the motivation for an action. This is the action that I do, and this is the motivation for it. Important detail. There is a very common mistake that a lot of people do, especially Spanish speakers. We speak Spanish, and that's a very common mistake that we do. Don't say for. Okay, don't say I study English for read. No, that's incorrect. What you have to say is this: I study English to read. Okay, this is a very common mistake. Don't say for and the infinitive and the base form. Okay, it's a very, very common mistake. Other examples. Different people have different motivations. So maybe I can say, I study English to read more papers. But my friend tells me, no, I study English to travel abroad. Or another person tells me, oh, I study English to watch movies. Or another person probably could tell me, no, I study English because I want to flirt with people on the internet. It's up to you. You can do many different things. But that's the idea. You're explaining the motivation for your actions. Okay, you explain your objective and their motivation and the reason why you're doing the actions. More examples. I study English. What is my goal? To read more papers. We should wash our hands. What is the purpose of doing that? It's to prevent diseases. Anna puts a tag on her bag. What is the point of this? To find it when they land in the airport. Maybe she could lose her backpack. That's why she puts a tag and is a thing, an object to differentiate the bad from other bad. Study and practice to get good grades. I took photos. What was my intention? Share them on Instagram. I will subscribe to this channel to learn more. Don't forget to subscribe. Now, some alternatives that you can use. Remember that you can use infinitive purpose, but if you want, you can put some extra decorations into your infinitive. For example, you could say, I study English to read more papers, or you could say, I study English so as to read more papers. The same. It's exactly the same. Study and practice to get good grades, or study and practice in order to get good grades. So you could use both. Don't forget, you can use infinitive of purpose, and if you want, you can add some decorations. You could say in order to, or so as to. Okay, it's the same, but don't forget always verb with base form. Okay, to and the verb with base form. So as to and the verb in base form. In order to and the verb in base form. Now, some details about changing the position of the motivation. You could use the standard structure is to put the complement at the end. So we should wash our hands. We should wash our hands. What is the purpose of that? To prevent diseases. But if you want, you can move this at the beginning. So you could say, to prevent diseases, we should wash our hands. But an important thing, you need to use a comma. Okay? Whenever you start with something else that is not the subject, because this is the subject, you have to use a comma. In this case, to prevent diseases is part of the complement. When you put it at the beginning, you have to put a comma. Okay, it's a very simple aspect. And one more thing, you can also use negative infinitives. The infinitive in negative is the same. The only difference is that you are implying motivation for something in a negative way. Example, I took photos of my summer vacation. Why? To remember the trip. I took photos of my summer. Why? Not to forget that trip. So you see, the way you make an infinitive negative is just putting not in front of the infinitive. Not to. More examples. I took photos of my summer, not to forget that trip. We bought food. What was the purpose of that? Not to cook today. We didn't want to cook that day. He went out not to think about his problems. He was maybe stressed. He preferred to go for a walk. You should drink coffee, not to sleep early. Sometimes you want to pull an all-nighter. So in those cases, you probably could say, yeah, let's drink some coffee so I don't sleep. You see, you explain your motivation. You should drink coffee. Why? Not to sleep. So remember, you can also use the negative, the infinitives in negative. Summaries. First, let's remember, infinitives of purpose indicate goal. You're indicating the motivation for another action. For example, why should we wash our hands? We should wash our hands because we want to prevent diseases. If you want, you could say because we want, but you can use the infinitive purpose instead of that. And you could say, we should wash our hands to prevent diseases. So you see, you can use the complete sentence with because, or you can just use the infinitive purpose. Number two, we can use so as, to, and, or in order to. So you could say, I study English so as to read more papers, or you could say, I study English in order to read more papers. Number three, we can start the sentence with a purpose, but we need a comma. So you could say, to become an investigator, Mary will apply to a scholarship. You see, or if you want, you could change the positions and you could say it in the normal way. You could say, Mary will apply to a scholarship to become an investigator. But the important thing here is that you have to remember to put, don't forget, please, to use your comma. Okay, that's an important thing. You need to use the comma. And finally, infinitives of purpose can be negative. So if you want, you could say, not to spread diseases, we should stay home. Or if you want, you can change the positions. We should stay home, not to spread diseases. And that's it. So remember, the infinitive of purpose indicates the purpose of a goal. Okay, it indicates a goal. It indicates a purpose. It indicates the motivation for an action. Okay, you can change positions and it can be negative. And
Okay, well, that will be everything. And I'm going to assign the homework because I didn't do it. Okay, so give me a second, please. I'm on it. Okay, so well, we are on Sunday, and you're going to have until Thursday, please. Okay, so that's going to be the due date. You're not going to have the enable timer habilitated, so yes, you can do it whatever you want. And you're going to have a model answer at the end of your question of your answer if you have failed. And that will be everything. I'm going